the Crazy Agent Dinner Party.
Nobody helps you.
Part group therapy, part inspiration, entirely for real estate agents to dish on this crazy business we're in.
Yeah, actually. My mom would be like, Amanda, I cannot.
Come on in, have a seat at our table. And remember, real estate is crazy, and you don't have to be.
Welcome to the Crazy Agent Dinner Party Show. I'm your co-host, Amanda, the marketing mama, and with me is Konversion Kourtney. And agents, we always have a lot on our plates, right? Like today, we're live from LA with our guest, Steve Ramona. And again, we are usually here every week to do a little bit of group therapy, a lot of inspiration, and entirely everything for you real estate agents to hopefully sell more real estate and have way more fun doing it.
Way more fun doing it.
Exactly.
Welcome, Steve. Welcome to our show. Steve is a super connector. He builds partnerships. Number one podcast for small business owners like real estate agents. Welcome.
Thank you for having me on. I love the name of this show, so I'm excited to be here in LA with you guys.
Thank you. For starters, tell us a little bit about why serving is so important.
Well, think Christmas. You wake up in the morning as a kid, 6 a.m., you run down to the tree. You can't wait to open those gifts up. To me, that's what serving when you bring transformation over transformational to your clients. And that value brings so much energy to the relationship. If you want to serve, you want to build relationships, you want to build your network. As I told you before, your network's your net worth.
That is so absolutely important. But I love what you said, because I always say what we're always doing in real estate and what you should do in life, I believe, is build relationships or build business as an entrepreneur. So how do you go from like a sales mindset really to that service first, really? I mean, obviously it's still sales, you still got to sell it, but how do you go from sales to service mindset as an entrepreneur?
Incredible question. Two big words, transformational, not transactional. Bring value to every opportunity that you come to. We're in the people asset, especially your realtors. The more people you have in your network that are quality, that have a great relationship with you, the more opportunity for you to sell a home. But what a great way to sell a home when people love you and like you. And guess what? They're going to share it with other people.
Thank you. Yeah. And so my question, Steve, is with serving people, a lot of agents feel like they have to need. I need to do this. I need to do this. I need to do this. And a lot of them get burnt out by doing that. What is your suggestion for agents on doing it from the heart instead of, I have to do this?
Another great question. You're an entrepreneur. You're a business owner. All that a business has to do, whether it's Google, Apple, HR, sales, public, all that, you got to do by yourself. You need to think of revenue generating opportunities. You told me a story, Amanda, where some agent was going through and doing the lawnkeeping, the gardening for the client.
Exactly. I'm like, Shelly, you're server hard, but not a servant. So your job as real estate agent, not lawn maintenance, but she did feel as though that was what she needed to do, which I think is the biggest downfall. So let's really dig into how servant leadership or coming from helpful service can be a downfall sometimes if you don't go into it with understanding the bigger picture of service over selling. And that's really what it is, because we talked about this too, like your hand is out to give, it's also out to receive, but you won't receive it unless you talk about the exchange, right? The exchange
Right.
of that. So
Say no.
really,
Just say no.
you could say no and they could still work with you, or
Yes,
what do you
because-
gain from it if you say no and then they don't work with
Well,
you?
let's use the example of an employee of the company. That employee is not benefiting the company. That person is asked to leave, say no for my company. They're going to go off to better adventures, better journey, a better job.
And I do. I love that, Steve, because so coming from like a serving standpoint, and I heard this the other day and it was like an aha moment for me. It was like, how can we serve people from an empty plate? And so it's so fitting with the Crazy Agent Dinner Party. So Steve, tell me a little bit about like, how do we fill ourselves to be able to serve people the right way?
Personal development, mentors, get people to teach you. ABL, always be learning. You can't serve other people until you serve yourself first. Sounds so simple, but people don't do that. They're like, oh, I'm going to serve. I just gave 2 referrals. You better give me 2 back. This is not a sport. There's no scoreboard in this.
Safe where you're
Yeah.
notching your bedpost or whatever.
No notching
right?
bedposts in
Okay.
this.
Yeah.
The three things I tell people is you don't know how, when, or where your universe is going to change. But for me, it's changed completely. Last year was been my best year for income in the last 5 years.
I wanted you to give us, well, thank you for diving into that. 'Cause I would love for you to bring like your number one success story from coming from a place. What is that thing that really stands out for you that can maybe inspire the entrepreneur that's out there living on fumes, which a lot of us are, you know?
I got two great stories. One, I sent an email out 6 weeks ago to two businesses that I built a relationship with, and they just signed a $160,000 contract, and they sent me $25,000. 2 emails.
Okay. How did that happen? Like, did you say, this is what I'm expecting from that? Or how did that just magically happen?
I love that you're asking.
Yeah.
No, I met each individually,
Mhm.
had a great meeting with them, built rapport, brought tons of value to them. And when they asked me, said, we need help here. Can you introduce me to some people? And one of the introductions was this other company who I brought value to, built a relationship with.
Mhm.
And they go, hey, Steve Ramona introduced us. We need to talk. 6 weeks later, money's coming in.
That's amazing. Like the consultant fee.
Along the lines of that, Steve, thank you. So going into that, did you have any expectations? Like, I'm going to do this because I'm expecting something in return? Or how did you approach that?
Beautiful question, because I get asked this all the time. My first thing when I meet somebody, how can I bring them value? If you read Think and Grow Rich, law of increase. How can I increase their life? It might be walking into church and the baby's got a beautiful bow and you go, that's a beautiful bow. That mother's going to be excited. Your guys are mothers, you know that. Or it could be an introduction or a resource or a tip. But you should always be thinking of how can I bring value? Me and you, Amanda, talk about this and do just a little bit more in that value. Doesn't cost you anything.
That again, the only difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that little extra every
Amen.
time. All right. So the challenge from shifting from sales focus to servant focus for me, a data person, because it's business, you still have to measure, you still have to have ROI. You can't just pokey wish it. So, you know, like, not that you do that, you don't. She is a manifestation mama, don't get me wrong, but you actually have to put in the work. What metric do you use to really quantify or show the win or the earning from that service mentality? Because sales, you can say, okay, I had this many sales. I did this much volume. I did this much, whatever. So what is that metric?
Belonging.
Okay.
Transactional is short term. I might sell you a home, treat you bad. Am I going to get any referrals from there? Introductions for more homes? Probably not as a realtor. But I build that relationship. I'm not getting money now, but I'm building these different satellites of referrals of value. So then when you get that home 6 months later, you guys know sometimes that happens. They're so fired up that when they go and tell people, because what do they do when they sell a home? Hey, mom, hey, dad, hey, I just bought this home. Come see it. You got to see Amanda. You got to be Kourtney. They're my realtors, and they took care of me through the whole. You know, I'm thinking about selling a home, and guess what? It's like compound interest. Letting the people ask it, it just starts growing.
Yeah, we talked about little like follow up. So we talk with real estate agents. It's all about follow up, and it's almost like the word follow up is. And I learned like follow up. Yeah. And so I would absolutely love to hear how your approach on follow up, taking away the follow up and doing being the follow up, like being.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with people that teach that, because you should. But what's your mind when you're following up? Are you being transactional or transformational? Always tough to say that word. Think about that. You're following up going, hey, Kourtney, how's the home? How's things? How can I be of help for you? Oh, I'm good, but thank you for following up. Not like, hey, Kourtney, I need to sell another home. Who do you know? I know people teach that. That's okay. But I'm not a big fan of that. Just staying in their radar with value. And maybe you meet and go, hey, I drove by your house. I noticed you need help with your lawn. I've got a great guy for you to be good for your lawn. What did I just do? What value to them 6 months later? Are they going to forget you? Realtors are not going to forget you. I know, because I know a ton of realtors, and that's how they grow their market.
Well, that's how you should, at least.
Yes.
A lot of them will be like, see ya, never want to be ya. I will tell you one of the things that one of my agents came to me a couple of weeks ago. She said, oh, I'm so bothered. My buyer that closed 3 months ago just called me because their hot water heater went out. I don't I don't do hot water heaters. And I'm like, this is a good thing. This means that you did a great job. This means that you're their go-to person for all things house related. So no, of course you're not a hot water person. You don't work at Home Depot. Like, but yes, that is great that they called you. Let's talk on that. Let's talk on understanding the got a guy list is what I call it. What do you have a got a guy list?
I do. 30 of them.
30 lists or 30 guys?
30 partners.
Okay. I was like, wow, that's a lot of
30 guys.
He knows everyone. That's awesome.
A powerful tool in any business, no matter what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because that's your value.
Right.
You know, people reach out to me, hey, what do you use for your podcast? Well, I use your Descript. Here's it. Wow, that's great. And what a great way to bring value. I was on a call with a guy from South America, and in 5 minutes, he needed help. I showed him how to use YouTube. Within 2 minutes, he said, because you're the greatest guy I've ever met. I've never seen somebody bring value so fast. And he stays connected with me. He brings me referrals. Realtor, I want you to think about this. I get 3 to 10 referrals a day.
Wow.
You look at my email right now, I'm sure I have a referral. How much will your business change if you just got 3 referrals a day? That's 15 a week.
One a day, I think one a week would probably change most real estate agents'
That's
lives.
my KPI, that's my ROI.
Yeah.
And the power.
That measure we were talking about. There you go.
I didn't come back around to
It did. So then
I'm Italian.
I respect that wholeheartedly. I'm kind of the same way. I work with Kourtney, of course. Too funny. That's too great.
And then by the end of the conversation, we are back on the first topic that we were talking about.
It's the squirreling of it all, the real estate, the entrepreneurship of it all. I think that's kind of how you have to always work. Like your brain is always going a mile a minute. And so how do you train somebody to start coming from a place of service? What is that daily activity that they can put into their regimen to go from like, oh man, I got to get up and do whatever to like, I'm going to be of helpful service today. What's your inspirational icing on the cake?
I love that question. So great. What I tell people, you want to learn this skill. It's like gratitude. It's anything that's in the mindset skill that you got to do. Wake up tomorrow morning. Today's Sunday when we're doing this. Wake up tomorrow, realtors, and whoever's listening, and just start thinking of ways you can serve people. Call your best friend you haven't talked to in 6 months, 6 weeks. Go to the grocery store, help somebody with their groceries. Find ways to bring value to people and practice that skill. I do it every day of my life, not 5 to 10 times a day. And it becomes natural to me because, again, it's a mindset of, you guys have all seen this. Hey, you need help here. I gracefully open my network up to you. That's what you do with value. And again, the how, why, or where, how your universe changes. And then I get a call from a billionaire 6 weeks ago that wants to work with me. I've never worked with billionaires, but because I brought value to other people and served them, great things are going to happen.
I have goosebumps, Steve, like for reals, because I hear in your voice on how important it is for you to serve people without any expectation. And I feel like that is huge. Like you wake up with a grateful heart and you go out there and you serve people and without any expectation.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Thank you. And I'll tell you a quick story. I did a referral introduction about 6 weeks ago, and the lady had some issues with her children, medical issues, and she finally followed up with them. I'm a big fan. If you do an introduction, follow up as quick as you can in 48 hours. But she had told all of them, hey, you know what? I've had this issue, and they were all good with it. She sends me a separate email. I'm speechless, LOL, I'm typing this. You have completely changed my family's life. For 8 years, my 2 kids are disabled. I did not know that. These 3 people have changed my life. I now have money to pay the medical bills because of the introductions you made. I didn't know that. I have no idea. I was doing a business. So when you serve people, you never know how you're going to help them.
All right. So again, we always talk about building relationships that build business, but we also know that it's super important to not try to pour from an empty cup or serve from an empty plate, which is vitally, vitally important. We talked earlier off camera about the infinity loop of abundance and mindset and giving. And let's kind of really dig into the meat and potatoes of that, because it's an overall philosophy that you have to address in your life and change in your life if you want to be more relational rather than transactional. You want to go from a first-time home to a forever guru, real estate advisor for your client, right? You want to work with them for the rest of their lives, or the rest of your life at least, right? And so let's talk about that infinity loop. And again, that building that relation, that actual deeper connection, which to me is always the icing on the cake, that partnerships for life, because that's really what you're doing. You're building kind of like your own fan base, if you will, but that's really what it is.
Yeah.
They're fan base.
I call them disciples, fan base, audience. Here's the thing about real estate. It's your most emotional transaction you're ever going to make. So do you want to pitch somebody and make it transactional and make it uncomfortable for them? Or do you want to transform their life? And people are like, how do you do that with real estate? You serve them. You transform them. You make them feel what they feel like. You're serving them. In your mindset is all about that serving and what they're grateful for. I would assume, I don't sell real estate, but I would assume if you do that, the whole contract process, because I know it's not like, hey, you're going to buy a home tomorrow, you give me the keys. You've got to keep building that.
Yeah.
Right. So when you serve and bring transformation and value, well, that tough process of, okay, I got to move $500,000 and this, that, it's easier to deal with, because I know realtors have problems. Oh, I don't know if I should do this. Well, bring in that value and building a relationship. You're not going to run it at, maybe I shouldn't buy this home.
Well, we're mamas. I'm the marketing mama, of course.
Uh-huh.
It is almost though your client, your buyer, your seller, they're kind of like, in my opinion, they're like your kids. They're your family. You want to take care of your family, and you don't ever want to have your family think that they did something wrong. You want to make sure that everybody's confident. The reality is you never know what's going on in that person's day. Their blood sugar could be off, for goodness sake. Like, it could be just as simple as that. But again, if you always come from a place of I'm going to help, I'm going to serve them, I'm going to make sure that everything's lined up. I've done the research, I've done the data. Everything shows that this is a great investment for them. They're making the right choice. They're putting themselves in a good position. I feel good about it. And I think as a professional, you have all the tools to know financially whether or not it's a good bet for them, right? That's kind of what we do as real estate agents. We kind of absorb like a sponge those like fears, that buyer remorse, that seller sabotage, or whatever is what I call it. And so building that relationship where they know that you're just not full of it, that you genuinely do want the best for them, that's what creates that next transaction and the next transaction. I always say to my real estate agents that their goal should always be 5 transactions per person, whether it's 5 of their own homes or their transaction plus 4 referrals. And you only can do that if you really genuinely care. Caring is the superpower, I think, for every human being in general, but certainly for real estate agents, because otherwise we'll smell your commission breath from like a mile away, right? And it's still, it's sticky, right?
Caring's huge. And here's the thing, realtors, think about this. Put yourself in the client's shoes. You're not building relationships and something happens and the mortgage comes, we need more paperwork. Well, they're going to scream and yell, be pissed. Oh, Amanda, Kourtney, what'd you do? Oh my God, I didn't know this was going to happen. Or through the whole process and the whole journey, you brought them value, you love on them, you are grateful, you serve them. And then when a problem happens, they're like, what's this problem? Well, we need to, okay, I trust you to, it'll be okay. It changes your whole business line, your whole business persona. And that happens with every real estate bigger than most. But if you're selling, pipes as a plumber, it's the same type of thing. So that's the nice thing about this. It's for everybody, but I think more important for realtors.
Yeah. And so as we talk about everything that we've shared, we've talked about other people, right? Like serving other people. And with real estate, I always say everywhere we go. Whatever energy we have, we're bringing it, whether it's a listing appointment, a buyer's appointment. What is your recommendation? You work with a lot of people. What is your recommendation on how to bring the appropriate energy, the appropriate mindset to every meeting that real estate agents have? Because everybody has stuff going on in their lives, right? And so that can impact the transaction with whatever's going on in their life on a regular basis. What is your suggestion on how to approach mindset, energy when they bring it to their clients, every meeting they have?
Take a deep breath. Energy healers that I work with teach me that. It's got to be forefront in your mindset. What you're selling, product or service, in your case, it's a product. You just have to practice that. And you know what? If you've had a bad day, a really bad day, maybe a family member passed away, let's make it the worst. You've got to shut that, or don't go to the meeting and reschedule it. But when you walk into a meeting as a realtor, so important, you've got to be like me, high energy. God, I'm so excited to share this home with you. They don't care what's happened to you, to be really honest. They don't care about your past. They want to know how you can help. And that's all your focus should be. And if you use that servant mentality, now you take it to the next level. And I've had people come to a meeting. I'm like, oh, they're lower energy. And I come in, Tony, hey, I'm excited to meet with you. I hear you do this. And it's like, whoa. Next thing you know, it goes, you're the greatest guy. And all I do is change my energy. Amen. Yeah.
And I love that you say it's about them, right? It is their biggest purchase of their life. And they're not going to, buyers and sellers and people, they're not going to want to hear your story. It doesn't matter to them. They're buying the biggest purchase of their life. It's about them. And I love that you said that. And so get right, whatever that takes, get it right and show up.
It's only an hour of your day. Well, keep in mind, it's only an hour of the day. You go back to whatever problem that you have.
For 15 minutes.
So,
Or
take care of that. And then
shake it off.
but it's such a fun way of being able to build relationships. I think people rather be liked than not liked.
Yeah.
And this message, I'm sure people are listening to this going, I've heard this a million times. They still go back to pitching. This is a message we need to hear over and over. And we need, as I said earlier, practice.
And also go from I have to I get to. That's the biggest thing when it comes to serving. I get to. Like, I live in Florida. We talk about this constantly. I live in Florida. My family literally today sent me a picture of them at the beach, which I actually am having the most fun. This is better than a beach day for me. But I get to interview the guy with the #1 podcast for small businesses. Like, I get to do that. So as a real estate agent, remember that. Get to. You don't have to. Get to. Otherwise, why do it, right?
Absolutely.
Wow. My entire body is like goosebumps. Thank you.
How it feels.
And I and Amanda, we're grateful for you being here. And I am excited to present. Steve has over 1 million followers, and
Well, I had
viewers.
we did a contest or something, 1 million people picked my podcast in February's #1 small business month.
How amazing.
Right.
He is a man of influence and honored to go box. This time, Steve has graciously offered a free coaching business session. And I am really excited and grateful and to offer it to, like, blown away to offer it to you guys. And
Thank you. No, yeah, it's Mondays. Every other Monday I do that. I was asked to do it. And I believe if you're going to be a servant's heart, give more. Give more of what you know. Give it out freely, as you guys have all in this convention scene, because it's going to come back to you. It's a boomerang effect. And such a great feeling. What you guys are telling me is how I feel almost every day. You get off a call with somebody and they go, this has been the best call ever. You've given me so much. The great thing? Anybody can do this. I'm not special, but I'm special because I take action.
absolutely, we talk about taking action. Steve, thank you so much. And wrap it up for everybody with a last bite on the importance of serving over selling.
You feel good. You grow. You're loved more. I think in business, especially real estate, the love word is out. I think we should love more our clients, our employees, our partners, our board, whatever that may be. But if we change our little world, we want to impact with service. Again, the boomerang or the infinity loop will come back and impact you. And imagine a more abundant you have. Guess what? You can serve more people. So I tell everybody, get better 1% every day. We're in the May right now, halfway through the year. I might be 200 days. Realtors, think about this. Deeply think about if you got better 200%, whatever that looks like, reading a book, be a better servant, be a better partner, whatever that is, personally and professionally. Think about if you grew 200% this year. If you grew 50%, will your income increase? Will your network increase? Will your gratitude increase? Think about that. Talk to me anytime. I'd love to help anybody or support anybody that's in this audience. I want to thank you both. This has been an incredible show.
We really want to thank you and express our gratitude on being here with us and offering such incredible insight on how to make real estate agents better. I appreciate you. Thank you.
And y'all remember, real estate, it's crazy.
And you don't have to be.